Now, most people, this is a selection of pictures that I've taken with a new camera I bought, the Fuji sq-10, or as I call it, the fuggy sq-10. There's been a lot of reviews on this camera. People like it, people hate it. They say it's not a digital camera, an instant camera, because it saves a digital file. My personal argument to this is it's a total load of bollocks, and it does more than what you want. And I wanted to do close-ups. This is what I bought this for, which means I need to crop and I need to center pictures, and I don't do any more. I just centralize them, make them a bit bigger, a bit smaller, well, make them a bit bigger. That's all I do. This is my first attempt. This camera, the Fuji sq-10, came today. I've taken 10 pictures on that camera and every single one of them has come out. So there's a lot of talk and unboxing videos, but nobody has even bothered, hardly anybody apart from one person from America, has decided to do anything about taking pictures with it. They just unbox it, talk a load of bollocks, and I said, and that's the end of that. And I don't see any point in that. I said, people want to see what a camera is capable of. They don't want to see another picture of some idiot pulling a camera out of a box. That's not a review. What we're going to do is try to zoom up a bit closer to these. I don't think they will, but we can try. Alright, here we go. Oh, look at that. So it is. So what we'll do is you just go out a little bit and hope that I can put the picture in the same place so that you can get a good idea of what they are. Now that one there is a picture of an underneath of a flower, and what we're going to try and do is put, how do I put it, a coin either side, and then that way I can make sure I get the film in exactly the same place so you can see it, so that way I don't go all cockeyed. It's a bit dim in here, unfortunately. That I've got lights in here, but they just don't particularly work very well. That is the underneath of a plant I got in the garden, and you can see that's come out quite well. It's not as sharp as it was taken with a close-up lens with an SLR. They're sort of a bit slightly soft. They're not particularly sharp. But to be honest with you, if you're taking instant cameras, you're not after dead sharp crisp pictures. If you want to do that, you might as well flip in use my SLR or this Nikon to do it with, and so you get a lot more sharpness. But this adds a lot more character to it, I feel. And they look better when you've got more light on them. Unfortunately, the light is very dim here for some reason. So that one is the underneath of a flower. This one here, believe it or not, is a shell. It's a shell purse. It's something you hang around your neck. It's got a little keeper and you hang it around your neck. And this is sort of green and white. This was the first picture I took. And I thought, well, it looks a fairly good picture. So I thought I'd take 10 close-ups and see how they came out. So that's a picture of the shell. I'm not quite sure what shell it is. This one here is a picture of, I think it's a honeysuckle. I'm not sure whether it's a freesia or a honeysuckle. I know nothing about plants. I've taken 2 of those. One is slightly smaller than that. That might come out last. And that was taken on a piece of paper. All these have been taken on a sheet of A4, indoors, in the kitchen. The light isn't particularly good. In fact, the light in this place, because it's got small windows, is never very good anyway. But that does add a bit of contrast to it. And remember, these are my first attempt. So I haven't had a go at lighting, and I might make up some kind of light box. That one there is a walnut. And to me it looks like a brain. So I refer to it as Jeff's brain. The top of Jeff's brain. And you can have a look, it does look a little bit like a brain. If I cut it in half, I may do, and then I got 2 kidneys, you never know. And I do love fiddling around. This one here is a pottery badger that I've got, which is in my bathroom. And you can see that's actually come out a bit quite well. It's a little bit out of focus, that one. In fact, it doesn't really matter if the focus is slightly off. It just adds to the mystery of it. You're not dealing with instant images. You're dealing with effects and composition. You don't have to be some sort of sharpness nut. And as long as people can see there's a picture there and it's reasonably clear. In fact, this is the only one that's come out slightly out of focus. Because they were all shot in very low light. And it's trying to hold it steady because the camera doesn't have image stabilization. So you can see the image moving. And I think it should have had some kind of, even if it was digital stabilization, it should have had something. Not nothing, but never mind. That's Otto the Badger. And this one here is the same seed. And as you can see, that's underneath Jeff's brain. If we just have a little look and see if you can see that and it's in the middle. Oh, yes, it is. The idea is I'm trying to get most of these in the middle so that you can actually have a good... This is a glass. I collect wine glasses. And this is a Bohemian glass from the 1880s. It's not brilliant. I should have done it with a light shining through it or something. But it's a lemon squeeze bottom glass. It's come out okay, but I need to be a bit more imaginative and perhaps light up with a colour, LED or something, to make that come out better. And but there again, you can see it's what it's doing. It's perfectly clear. And that one is one of the not so good ones. And this one looks a bit odd. It's actually, believe it or not, a little tiny bowl with 3 spots on. I couldn't get the 3, but I managed to get the 2 because the other one's further down. And this was taken on a white piece of card on top of my digital radio in front of the window. So you don't need specialist equipment. I've got a light tent, I've got some lights. I just got to get some decent bulbs for them. I got LED bulbs in there, no good, they leave lines. I tried to take a picture and there was lines all over it. Scan lines, so I couldn't use the digital lamp I had. That's another one of those little flowers. And if you have a look, there's a bit more in the picture. It's a bit smaller, so you can see more of the pose, whereas I cropped it a little bit on the other one. And I think the other one, despite being cropped more, is slightly better. And the final one is a Georgian glass stopper. That came out of a glass decanter I got, which is leaded. And as you can see, that's what's come out there. And what I'm going to do now is put those together, put them up there, and so we're going to have a look at see how much we've got. 20 minutes roughly. So what I'm going to do now is try to put the camera in view without knocking the tripod, because I call it the tripod, because I'm always bloody tripping over it. So that's why I've called it a tripod. And what we'll do is we'll bring that down a little bit. Maybe I'll bring the camera down a little bit more. Trouble is I don't want it falling on the floor. Yeah, we're going to have to do that, aren't we? Can't do anything about it. We're going to have to come out more. That's it. That's the camera. This is the Fuji sq-10. And the way to activate the device is by turning it on, by turning that ring. A lot of people don't show that, and then people can't work out how to turn it on. But that's how you turn it on. That's how you turn it off. I'll just do that again so you can see. It's a metal ring on the front. That's to turn it off. And if we turn it round, you've got the display. Now, the other thing a lot of people don't seem to show you is on the side, there's a button that says manual and auto. That is not manual or auto exposure. That is print all the time is auto. Manual means that you print manually when you want. In other words, if you put that to auto and that switches up, what will happen is it will continue to print no matter what you do. You press a button, it prints a picture, that's it. My suggestion is to put it on auto, do not put it on manual, sorry. Do not print a picture off every time. If you want to change anything and you print a picture, you've wasted it, do not do that. The good thing about this camera is that you can view a picture before you print it. Now, when you're talking at these pictures, let's have a little look. Let's make sure it can come into the fray. That particular film there, make sure it's in the shot. Those in England are £11 a pack, 10 prints. So you're talking about £11, you're talking about £1 a shot, a little bit more than £1, aren't you? They're £11.99, I think you can get some for £9.99. So 10 shots is costing you £11.99. That's over £1, isn't it? They will probably go down to £9.99, I think they probably will. But you don't want to be wasting it printing duds. And a lot of people say, well, I actually like the idea of printing duds. And I thought, well, they must, because it's part of instant, it's to print bad pictures and print them out. Well, I'm sorry, that's just a lot of bloody hogwarts. Why would I want to print an out of focus picture with the person not in the middle? That might be, and they say, well, it's part of the charm. I'm sorry, it isn't. I mean, I'm into photography and I want to do a decent job of what I do. And if the job isn't very good, I'm not very happy. And a lot of people want to take pictures of themselves. They're just suffering vanity. I mean, why would I want to take a picture of my ugly aspie mug for? Aspie means Asperger's syndrome, which is what I got. People like Aspie say what we think in our head comes straight out of our mouth. And that sometimes is a good thing and sometimes it's not. But I'm not interested in taking pictures that people can't look at and see what they are. And it's quite an easy camera to set up. My suggestion to you, a lot of people don't do this, but that I think they do need to do this. Now, I haven't got very good eyesight, and to be honest with you, I couldn't read the manual anyway. I'm not joking, I can't read it. The print is very small. It's on a white background, and I find seeing anything on a white background I find really hard. So that is the manual. It's about the size of a CD case. If you haven't got very good eyesight, you're going to have a problem reading it. So it might be worth downloading it from Fuji. There's nothing wrong with that manual. It's perfectly adequate for most people. But if you're like me and you haven't got very good eyesight, and to be honest with you, it's been 3 years since my eye test. I should have done it last year. So what I'm going to do is take that down to a shop and try some of those glasses out there, magnify. I'm not paying another £100 for reading glasses. I just as well go and buy a pair from Boots. But anyway, I think I should really get new glasses. But I mean, I will probably do that for Christmas. Have new glasses, because I may do that. And I got money to pay for them. It's just I try to squeeze. Oh, here we go. Here comes the bloody phone. Anyway, that's it there. I'll just see who's hanging out the window. I won't be a minute, Frank. I'll just be a sec. Just put it outside. Yeah, I'm just doing a video. Pop it by the door and I'll... Yeah, okay, alright. That's my next door plus. And what he's done is he's got a pot for me because he knows I collect odd screws in that. So what he's done is very kindly put a container onto the door. That's why the doorbell went. Anyway, the doorbell's finished, so I can get back onto this. The menu is quite simple to operate. It works very similar to a mobile phone or a camera, a normal camera. It's got what I call a compass key routine and subroutine system. Like everything, like a computer, like a mobile phone. And I'm not going to go through all the menus. I don't see any point in that. It's turned off because the 5 minutes has gone up. But it's got a very big screen on there and it is nice and bright. The only thing I don't like, as you can see, it's a shaving mirror. Now, why they couldn't make it in a kind of matte, they all seem to do this shaving mirror or put some kind of coating on it, and that may get quite easily scratched. So what I'm going to try and do is see if I can get a protector for that at some point. It's your buttons of your coat you've got to watch, and then would they sell you another screen and then you've got to take it apart. So it's not something. If I bought a screen, I suppose I could send it to a mobile phone shop and they could do it, but I'm a little bit fussy about getting them to do it. But all you get with the package is a neck strap, that, and a battery. I've got 2 batteries. That's all you get. And you get USB cable, which is this one here. You don't get nothing else. It's very, very skimpy on what's in the box, what the camera cost. It's well over £200 in the UK. It should have come with a charger. It didn't. The camera's a charger. The trouble is with that is that if you've got a spare battery, you've got to open the camera and put the spare battery in. I do have a charger, but it seemed to be still charging 4 hours later, and I was a bit worried the battery was overcharged. When I measured that on my voltmeter, it was 4.2 volts. It says 3.7 on it. So and the battery was getting warm, and I thought, well, the light hasn't gone off on the charger. So, and it's been there for 4 hours. The charger says it's 400 milliamp, the battery says it's 1000, so it should have only taken 2 hours, not 4. So I decided to charge it in here, then put it into the charger I've got here. And if the green light is not on, it's still showing red in charge, and I know that charger I got's no good. So that's a little bit about this camera, and it's quite easy to put a film in. What I'll do, I don't know whether I got the cartridge. I did bring the old cartridge up to show you how to put it in. So excuse me for me disappearing on I call it my aspie videos. What you do is you get this cartridge, and it's basically spring loaded, so it's got those sheets of what's its name inside here. That basically acts as a pressure plate, and when you want to put it in, what you have to do, I'll show you how to do this, because a lot of people, you don't want to force them open. There's a switch on the top, and what you do is you push that like that, push it over, that comes open. Do not force it open, you have to push that lever. I'll show you again. There's a lever, you push it and you open it, it drops down. To put this cartridge in, the yellow must go up, and you have to put the bottom in first. The bottom in first, and push it down slightly, don't go mad, and then that goes up and pushes that pressure plate down. When that pushes that pressure plate down, it then starts up the motor, which winds out the blank piece. There's a blank piece in the front, a plastic piece. That is not a photograph, that's just a blank, it's just a light cover. That then gives you your 10 shots. When it's done, do exactly the same. Push it, open it, put your finger in there, tip it forward, take it out, and you're left with that. Now I don't know whether Fuji are going to decide to ask for those back. What I'm going to do is email Fuji and say that if you want them, I'll send them to be reused or recycled. There doesn't seem to be any. But anyway, this is a brand new camera, or as I call it, camera, for the new square format. It's the only one that does a square. I don't know whether, what do they call it? Lomo are going to do. I found Lomo cameras are they're too hit and miss. You take a lot of pictures with those Lomos and half of them don't come out. And I said, the pit film is expensive. So I'm wondering whether Leica Sofort, they have the Leica Sofort Mini. Very nice camera, I like so far. I'm wondering whether they'll do a square version and a wide version. It seems as though the wide version cameras are pretty naff. I wanted to buy a wide one, but they didn't have any adjustments or any parameters to adjust. And the problem is you put A4s into the grip and the grip is faulty from new, and the grip, what happens is the battery cover keeps falling off. That's why I never went for the wide. Also, it doesn't have any facilities, any adjustments. That's why I went for the square because I like the square format, but if they could do this in a wide somehow, I don't think it'd be that much bigger than that. I think it would be a seller. And there are a lot of people complaining. Well, they can go away. I mean, you know, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. And that's the way I do. I love it. I mean, I think it will be a hit with people who want to see what they're taking and not waste so much film. It is, I believe, a little bit expensive, but one thing I will tell you about this camera, it's extremely well made. I mean, I'm absolutely shocked how well made it is. I mean, I've got some cameras costing £400 or £500, and the build quality on that is every bit as good as my Nikon that I'm using here. And I've got an 8 meg SLR, which is brand new, never used, and this is equal to the quality of the build. It really is. And it's an f2.4 lens. It's only 2 element, but it is coated. I've looked through the aperture, and it is a coated lens. I wish it was a 3 element. I think it would have been better with a Tesla 3 element lens in. But I seem to be quite happy with it. So that's my introduction to the Fuji sq-10. And have you decided? I've not decided to do a lot with menus and things like that. And the reason why is because there's an incredible amount of videos showing people doing menus and taking it out of the box and combing the mirror, basically. I wanted to actually show what the camera was actually capable of doing. And I must admit, I think that picture of the flower is quite good. So we'll put that there. And that will give you roughly the idea of what this camera is capable of doing. And the prints are only about 2.5 inches. But I can see them perfectly fine. I'm stood here now 3 foot away, and I can't see much detail because of my eyesight, but once I get to the standard viewing range, which is about 1 meter away, most people view their pictures, I suppose, 2 foot away. If you were to look at that picture the way I would look at it, which is 2 foot 18 inches, something like that, it's perfectly good. It's perfectly good for most people, and I think it's an ideal format and an ideal size. And I like the ideas you can switch modes by pressing that button. I programmed it for absolutely brilliant idea, and the shutter works well. I don't like the idea of having to press the shutter to clear the picture on the screen. I'd much rather you could do something else, but there again, I can't see any other way of doing that. Perhaps there should have been an extra button for doing that, or I think the best way round is to have that button. You have to press it all the way in to clear the back of the screen. That means get rid of the photo you've just taken. I think a half press would be good. I don't think having a full press is really necessary. But maybe that's just so you don't actually accidentally do something you don't want. So I wouldn't change anything about this camera. The only thing I change is have a half press on the button to clear the screen rather than a full press. As far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute winner. And a lot of people have complained about it. Well, they're just a load of nannies as far as I'm concerned. But that's up to them. People do complain, and my argument would be, well, you don't have to buy it if you don't like it. There's no point in leaving a negative review for something you've never used, and without taking any pictures. And I would say to people, if you buy a camera, go out, take pictures, and then review it then when you've used it. I would say take 10, 20 shots, and then review it afterwards, and then you know what you're talking about, because you've got pictures to show for it. It's no good getting that camera out of a box and reviewing it, because you haven't used it. How can you review something you've never used? Anyway, this is an introduction with pictures to my Fuji sq-10. It came today, and I went straight out and started taking pictures with it, because at the end of the day that's what it's for. And there's no good just looking at it and moaning about something. You need to go out and use it. And I've taken 10 pictures, they've all come out, and they're all fairly happy with them. And I'm quite hard to please, so I put my thumbs up to this camera. And if they did this in a wide, I would be out tomorrow trying to get one. I would absolutely go and get one if it was a wide. And I might even bought it if it was a mini, but I don't think so. I'm more into the square. I think the mini is too small, you can't see it. So I would certainly like to get it in a wide. If they did this one in a wide, I would certainly be looking for one. And I would be looking for one ASAP if that came out. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, or as I call it, video. And I do hope that you enjoy my aspie camera video. And from the man that talks incessantly, who's a real eccentric and crazy to boot, and says whatever he thinks. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not.